Hello and welcome back to another Thunderous Productions tutorial. I am Jag Thunder and this is Minecraft. Today we are going over an elevator system. Requirements for this system is better than wolves. If you do not have it, it will not work. We're going over the basics of pulleys and some intermediate to advanced wiring. So sit back, relax, and let's see how this shit works. First off, I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to be building. On a smaller scale, this is pretty advanced and cleaned up real good, so all the wiring is hidden, but I'll take you down to the testing zone in just a minute to show you what exactly we have. Those that have been following my Play with Thunder series, you will know that I am inside my UFO that I've been working on for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and I have completely changed the first setup that I had from the very last episode about 2 days ago. I've got it all trimmed out now. I pushed the power wheel back and made some more room up here so that I could get the wiring a little bit neater and cleaner and make it work a little bit better. This looks very confusing to a lot of people, I'm sure, but I'm going to break it down for you step by step. So we'll go out here into the elevator shaft and I'll show you how it works. Basically you have indicator lights, one for the up, one for the down, and you also have a brake or a go button. When this is lit, the brake is on and the elevator will not move. As you see, it's in the up position. I push the button, it's in the down position. It will not move. I will be showing you how to put a brake on the pulleys so that you can create the same thing that I have here. When you're ready to go, press the go button when you get close enough, and down we go. And I'll also be showing you how to make it stop on each floor with the brakes, and also putting in a lighting system to show you whether you're still going down or if you're going back up, and also how to switch directions from whatever floor you're on to go back up if you're going down. So if we want to go back up, we push this button over here, the light switches, the brake is still on, hit the go button, and we go back up. And we'll be using the detector blocks like you just saw there. That's what basically tells the system where the elevator's at. So we're going to ride this on down and go to the testing zone, so I'll meet you down there. Okay, so this is Pulley Alley. That's what I call it. It's a big mock-up area basically of all the pulleys, gearboxes, and elevators that I've tried to put together for this tutorial. A couple of them I built during the testing phase while I was trying to build the main elevator, but we're going to go over them and I'm going to show you how to make them. The main power source for your elevators is usually a water wheel. There is another source and I'll show you that in just a few minutes. But the easiest way is the water wheel, and I'll show you how to set that up. That becomes your power source, and that runs into your gearboxes. Your gearboxes must always face the power source. So the very first block that you set, if you see the 4 little white arrows right here on each gearbox, it's only on one side, that will face the power source. So every gearbox thereafter must face the one in front of it. So as you can see down the main line here, all these gearboxes, they all face this way going into the power source. If they're not set up correctly, you will not get power. You'll know you have power because as you see, the smoke is rising. So the smoke goes up, the elevator goes up. If there is no smoke and it's basically going down, the elevator goes down. Kind of an easy way to remember it. You can use 1 axle, 2 axles, or a maximum of 3 axles, which I have one out there somewhere, between the gearboxes. Anything over 3 axles, then it'll break. So that'll kind of help you with your spacing, because when you set these bigger platforms up, your spacing has to be even, and I'll go over that in just a minute. But you can also power your gearboxes either with a switch, a button, or a redstone by just flipping it off. And you can see everything drops because there's no power on the line. Now you notice that these 2 platforms dropped individually. The reason for that is because it's 2 separate gearboxes. In order to get a main platform to raise as one unit, they have to share the same gearbox, which that's what we're going to use later on in the tutorial, and I'll show you how to do that too. So we're going to apply power back to the line, and I'm going to show you some of the setups here. Now you can use all the stacking pallets, is what I call them, on top of the main decking. You cannot set any foreign objects on top of it or it will break the line. So we'll drop this one down, and I'll show you that if you use any other object on top of that the decking pallet, when you go to pull it up, it'll just snap the line and it won't pull it. The standard size is 5 by 5. That's what one pulley can handle. So if you need to go more than 5 by 5, you need to use two gearboxes and 2 pulleys. Centered is probably the best way to set up a 5 by 5. If you set it up any other way in a corner, it'll be a 3 by 3. As you can see, it pulled this section out. You can take off pieces if you have to, and it'll still pull it up as long as it's centered. So those are the basic setups. Let's see what else we got here on the line. So we already went over the power source. This is a brake. Your brake applies to the pulley, not the gearbox. That's where I fucked up for a day and a half because I couldn't figure out how to stop the damn gearbox. To stop the elevator from going up and down and putting a brake on it, it has to go over top the pulley. So that's what your switch is. When you apply brake to it, the pulley stops at any point in its traveling process from the top to the bottom. So when you take the power off the line, the elevator should drop, but it doesn't because we still have the brake on. You put the brake on again and it stops. So that's how we apply the brake, and we'll get into that a little more in the tutorial later on too. Like I said, I'm just trying to cover the quick basics of how to set up your pulleys so you don't make mistakes. There's a three axle system here. And some of the different types of lifts that you can make. This one here is made off of one gearbox, and whatever you put on one side you have to put on the other. So if you do one here and then like 2 axles and then one more, and you end up with like three gearboxes on this side and 2 on this side, you're going to have an uneven lift. So everything must be even or else it will not lift at the same time. Your platform will come up unevenly. And we'll go over some of the switches and stuff that you can use to power your platforms. This is one of them. This is a memory switch. A lot of you probably already know what this is. Basically, when you click the button, it remembers which way the switch is held, and it can't be reset until you press the other button. So that goes down, and the power still stays to the line. This will come in handy later, but I'll show you a better way of making this, or another way of making it. So you push the reset button, and it'll remember that, and it'll take the elevator up. And then we'll also learn how to transfer your power from the ground up to your gearboxes or whatever else we need to on your other levels. So, and this over here, because I know you're wondering, well, how big can I make this, Jag? What's the biggest son of a bitchin' platform I can make? Well, this son of a bitch here is 20 by 20, and remember, each section is 5 by 5, so each pulley and each gearbox has to have a 5 by 5 section. So if you look at it, and it's kind of hard to tell with this texture pack and any other texture pack because this the decking pattern here is real tight, but there's 4 main crates in between each section. So on the outside there's 2, outside here 2, outside here is 2. That's an easy way to remember your setup if you're using say like 3 of these. It's just you got 2 a block, 2, 2 a block, 2, 2 a block, 2. But anyways, this was just for shits and giggles, actually, just to see how big we could make this son of a bitch. But knowing that we have this much travel, it takes a while for the gearboxes to all turn on. So we need a big braking system. So we need to apply the brake first. And if you're going to try to recreate this, have fun, because it's close, but I don't feel like really fucking with it to get the timing down. But the brake has to go across, like I said, the pulleys, and the pulleys only. If you run it across the gearboxes, then you're going to have a gearbox that won't fire properly. So I put the switch down here, and I fire the switch, and as you can see, real slowly the power comes down the gearboxes. There it is. Boom, 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 boom. Once we have power, we take the brake off and lift everything up in one piece. So, but as you can see, there's still very, very limited movement right in here that it doesn't quite match, and that could easily be fixed with repeaters or whatever. But same thing dropping it. Put the brake on, hit the main switch down here, or knock the fucker right out, whatever makes you comfortable. And when the power ceases to exist, we will throw the switch. Sure to God I knocked the switch right out of the fucking latch. Okay, so we need to take the power off, so let me put a switch back in here real quick. Just show you this. They go down. Okay, let's take that. Shit. The power should go off. Hit the brake, and it all goes down in one piece. So your decking size, I can't tell you how big you can make this. Just probably just as big as you damn wanted to, but you're going to have to use a lot of repeaters and a lot of thinking of how to set up these pulleys where you can get the brakes in between them, and it'd be a lot of shitting around. But if you're all looking for a project after this, go for it. Knock yourself out. So anyways, that's Pulley Alley, and I hope I've covered just about everything I can think of there. And we'll go over to the staging area, and we're going to learn about some circuitry. So let's go. Things you will need to know. Alright, the first thing is a flip-flop switch. If you know what it is, great. If you don't, pay attention. Basically, a flip-flop switch is kind of like a memory switch, but I like this one better because it's more, I don't know, it just looks cooler, and it works a lot better. But anyways, you have a power supply. When the power supply is turned on, this basically inverts the power, and you have a dispenser box. Inside of the dispenser box, you have one solid block and a piece of glass. You have a solid block because we know power can travel through a solid block, but it can't travel through glass. Your block dispenser is set up to distribute each time that it fires in order. So if you fill this up with 9 different substances, it would keep firing in order until it got back to the first one. But we don't give a shit about that. We just want 2 blocks in here. One solid block, can be dirt, sandstone, any kind of solid material that you can want to use, wool, and the second one has to be glass. That way it doesn't conduct power and turn the light on. A torch has to be put in the ground. That way when the block comes out, the torch gives power to the block and sends it to the light. So, and we won't be using switches, we will be using buttons, because this is too slow and you need a quick reset like this. So basically it's be going like that. So now you have power, and now you don't. So that's one of the main things we're going to use. The next one that we're going to use is the wiring for the 2 lights, or your indicator lights. Normally if you run a power supply over top the block, both of them will light up, or you just get one to light up. To fix that problem, well, let's look at the top. You're going to run redstone down one side, and you're going to count 1, 2 blocks back and throw a torch. You're going to put a repeater here. That way, when the power is turned on, and the only reason I got a repeater is there is just so I got enough power. When you have power, it cancels out the redstone torch and lights up the front block. When you take power off, because there's no power now going to the top, the redstone torch takes control, fires the repeater, and gives you the indicator light on the right hand side. So that's pretty easy. Alright, the next ones that we need. This here is your vertical powering to go up through your flooring and your staging. This is pretty easy. You got to go into the bottom of the block, of course, and you torch, so that basically when you take the power off, they switch, and when you put power to it, these 2 go off. That one's pretty easy, no big deal there. Alright, the next 2 are these right here, a regular flip-flop is slow to reset. The reason we're going to be using these and these is because when we use the block sensors or the block detectors, it's not like a button. When you press the button, it's a real quick pulse. Your block detectors are slow. When the elevator passes across the block detector, it'll send a long, slow signal through to the flip-flop, and that's not what we're going to want when we use that. But up top where we use the buttons, it's plenty fast enough for the block detectors. Block sensors, we're going to use what's called a monostable circuit, and I'm not sure that's the exact name of it, but basically what that does is it'll refresh your signal, and it's kind of like a memory block. It'll reset itself when the power goes through, and I'll show you that in just a second. Basically when you click it, and it does the same damn thing, but it's what I want you to pay attention to is this torch down here, how fast it flashes. Alright, see how fast that flashes? That's the kind of signal that we're going to need for the block detectors. Now watch how slow this one goes. See how much longer that one takes? That's going to do us no good when we put in the elevator, because when the elevator goes past it, it'll be 2 or 3 floors past where we want it to stop, and we're going to have to do a lot of shitting around. So basically anyways, you got your redstone coming out into this block. Your powered block has a torch on the side. It has a repeater in the middle set to 4, redstone around the outside on top of that block, and a torch on the back. So when the signal comes in, that goes off. A slow signal passes through, still allows a quick pulse to go through, and then the torch resets. And I hope I explained that right. And then you have to have an inverter. Again, this is your regular flip-flop right here, your inverter with your flip-flop, and the same thing, a glass block and a solid block. You don't see the solid block because that's what's out right now. So anyways, that's the main circuitry over there, and then we've got one more to worry about. How to separate the signals coming up from the ground. When your elevator passes each detector block, you're going to have a detector blocks going up and detector blocks coming down. So you don't want them catching one going up and then in between catching another one, and they'll both be stopping at different points and both firing going up and down. So we want one set to fire going up and one set to fire going down. Hope that makes sense. So basically is what we're going to use here. It's the same thing as a block dispenser. You don't see nothing in it because it's out on the ground. It's redstone. That's the only thing you're going to put in there is a piece of redstone. And we're going to put a repeater between the two and a piece out in front. So right now, if that wasn't fired, this wouldn't be here. The initial setup would be 2 block dispensers with redstone in each, a repeater in the middle, and redstone in the middle. So what happens is we're going to pretend this is your floor switcher, your up and down switcher. So when you flip the power, let's say to the up position, it will only take power from these block detectors going up through your building. And how that works is the power goes up, crosses over the block. This one will get power. This one will not because of the torch. And when you flip it over the other way, and let me show you. Okay, this one's getting power. So see the light will flash. You can turn the light on and off because this is the side that's getting the power. This side you can flip all you want. It won't do jack shit because the main switch is not telling it to read or get a signal from this side. So when we flip the switch over, now we can turn the block on and off, and this side won't do jack shit. So this is another thing we'll have to build. And don't worry about that. That does not connect in the background. But anyways, so the redstone comes through, and this is what will connect to the switch, the monostat circuit over there. Instead of this block, we're going to have the monostat circuit with the flip-flop connected to this device here. So anyways, that's all the circuitry. That's all the pulleys and the gearboxes and your platforms and how they work. And this will probably end me up at the end of part 1. Also too, I just looked up, I forgot, which we'll pick up on this in part 2, is the other power source is a windmill. It takes up a lot more room, but that also does work too. But anyways, that should take care of part 1. So rate, comment, and subscribe, and get your ass over there and watch part 2. Later.